the show. My name is Chris Mitchell. I'm the host of the Buying and Selling Real Estate podcast. Today I have a very special guest with me. This guest has an outstanding success in the real estate field under multiple brokerages in multiple markets. His company currently serves the Fort Worth, Weatherford, Granbury, and Houston areas. Welcome to the podcast, the broker and owner of Kirk McDonald Realtors, Kirk McDonald.
Hey Chris, how you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you doing today?
Great.
Let's kind of jump right into it. So Kirk, I guess the first question folks want to know is how did you get started in the real estate industry?
That's a good one. I got into real estate actually in 2004 after I left a job with an insurance company that I had for 21 years. And I moved to Granbury, and my wife and I opened a little gift store down in Granbury, did a bed and breakfast, had all that, and we actually started flipping houses.
Okay.
And so from 2004 to late 2005, we were in the middle of flipping houses, and after doing several of those, we decided that we should probably get our real estate license and get rid of our realtor.
Yeah. Save that little percentage.
Yeah, so it all worked out. And so we got our license, and at the time when I was in the insurance company, I was also president of a printing and marketing company in Fort Worth, and I did the Hood County Real Estate Magazine. Oh, nice. So from the magazine, I knew who was pretty much the top producing person in Granbury, which was a competitor at Keller Williams.
Right.
And so I decided that's where I would hang my license to kind of learn real estate and learn what, how they did it.
Okay.
And so got into real estate and figured out that I absolutely loved it. It was probably something I should have been doing for years.
Yeah, kind of maybe a missed calling that didn't come calling again until later on. Huh?
Right. So we had a real good time with it. I never actually flipped another house again when I started that.
Interesting.
And so that moved on, and eventually I had met another person at the real estate company that we became partners in our own group.
Mm-hmm. Still with Keller Williams?
No, well, Keller Williams originally. We ended up actually outgrowing Keller Williams fairly quickly. Because I got my license in May of 2006, and by February of 2007 we had left that group and started our own.
So you're kind of the exception to the rule. They say that typically it takes a little while to get started, but it sounds like you jumped in and took off running.
It took off. It was the right market, it was the right time, and it was the right product that we had.
Okay.
We took off and had a huge hit our first year, and so that moved on. So that went from 2007 to 2009, and by 2009 I had decided that I was going to move my business more back into the Fort Worth area from Granbury. We had gone through a pretty bad crash from 2008. And luckily we survived that in Granbury for a lot longer than they did in Dallas-Fort Worth. It took about another year to hit Granbury.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that's just the market there was able to sustain it, just the types of the homes, types of buyers?
Yeah. Most of our audience were second home waterfront buyers. Okay. And that just didn't slow down when everything else did. But it eventually caught up with us, like everyone. So I got up and I decided I would take what I learned in Granbury and kind of apply it to Fort Worth. I was still partnered at the time I came up here with my other partner, and started up here and started kind of testing the water in Fort Worth. And Fort Worth was not Granbury, It took a little bit to get started up here, but once I got in, it started really taking off. Till I got to the point in 2012 to open my own brokerage. So That's when I left everybody and opened up Kirk McDonald Realtors. And it was basically my wife and I when we started up here. And and kind of one of those 2 steps back, 1 step forward deal.
Right.
But it worked out. It worked out well.
Okay, awesome. So what year was that you came up to Fort Worth and started the brokerage?
2012 was when I opened Kirk McDonald Realtors.
2012. So in 2012, it was you and your wife. How long was it before you brought on your first agent?
It was just a few months.
Did you bring them on because you felt there was a need there, that business was getting bigger than you could handle?
It already had. My wife at that time was handling a lot of the paperwork and kind of doing a lot of the back end office, and my plate was starting to get full. So the first thing that I needed to do was bring on my first buyer's agent.
Okay.
Which actually was a client of mine's sister.
Oh, nice.
That had gone along and experienced some of the real estate process and liked it, and did a career change, came into real estate, and she took off.
Good.
So it just kept growing from there. We probably added a couple of agents every year.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're at 20.
20 agents? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I imagine, are those 20 agents sort of spread across the areas you service?
Right, because our market expanded, so we went from Fort Worth. We now have office in Weatherford. I have an office in Houston. I still have a large presence in Granbury, where it all started.
Right.
And my agents in the offices are spread out. We can go east, far east to Grapevine, west of Brock,
okay,
down to Houston, and so we have a pretty good area.
So you started as an individual agent, then it sounds like you quickly got your broker's license, expanded, created your own brokerage, and then at that point started hiring agents to become a part of Kirk McDonald Realtors. What's the most challenging part, would you say, in running a brokerage?
Managing the people.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier when it's just one.
Right.
So now I'm in more of a administrative role, kind of monitoring. I mentor my agents.
Okay.
And so that we have a very set way of doing things, and I make sure everybody's on board. We're very much into automation to help the agents, so we try to get as much of that manual process removed.
Because a lot of agents out there are wondering how to blow their business up similar to what you did. What was your secret sauce?
Lots of people have asked it, and I have shared it with many of what I did. At the time that I got into real estate, I was a little older than I would prefer to be getting into real estate.
Right.
And after just finishing a 21-year career in another job, I didn't have a lot of time, to get the thing going. So what I did is I took a lot of the experience that I had with marketing that I've learned over the years, and I brought it into real estate. And so that meant bringing in substantial amount of funds to run this, which is how it started. So in order for me to do what I did in the beginning to get it launched, it took a substantial investment, to get there. And the investment did pay off. My first 7 months when I broke brokerage with Keller Williams, we did $22 million.
Oh, wow. $22 million in 7 months.
7 months. Okay. And so kind of gives you an idea of what the numbers look like at that time and what it took to get it there. And I became a huge supporter of Zillow, Realtor.com to get started. That grew my business to where now about 30% of my business is all referral. So we've got tons of repeat clients. In Zillow, I'm in the top 1% in the nation in Zillow. We have over 340 5-star reviews, which you can go online and read those.
Have you received a lot of calls or business based on those reviews?
From across the country. So we get a lot of people. This is a review-driven society. My wife and I, we don't even go to a restaurant that we haven't read the review on it.
Right.
So everything is reviews. We are very, very big in that, and so I get referrals from agents in other states that are looking for top producers in the area, and they're doing it through Zillow and Realtor and and such. And so I get a lot of that. I get a lot of client calls, sellers and buyers both, based strictly on reviews. and you can go online and read those.
Where can they find those online?
If you go to www.kirksreviews.com, you'll see the whole team, see everything we've got. All of my agents are listed there with their own reviews, so it's a good resource.
So let's talk a little bit about the market and what I want to focus on, because I think you said that Granbury is kind of its own beast. Let's talk more about the Fort Worth, DFW, for kind of the local area. In 2006, 7, 8, we had the crash where prices kind of dipped and a lot of agents got out of the business. A lot of properties went into foreclosure. And then since we've had a sharp increase in the market as far as prices and converting from a buyer's market into a seller's market. Do you feel like that's going to go on into 2019?
No, I think it's starting to turn now.
Okay.
So we've had a really good run. We've had a 8-9 year run of a good strong seller's market.
Mm-hmm.
And we started seeing signs that it was starting to change a few months back when the prices can't keep climbing forever, and we started seeing a little bit of pushback from appraisers. We're starting to see properties on the market longer, price adjustments. So I think we're at the cusp of the market swinging over to a buyer's market. And it'll probably take most of 2019, I think, to establish that.
As far as from buyers and sellers perspective, because we do want to give sort of some information to our listeners, which are going to be primarily buyers and sellers. How do you think the market swing or the market change is going to affect? Let's first talk on the seller side. What can they expect? So, for instance, if they have a house that they're either wanting to sell, either for sale by owner or with an agent, what can they expect from today's real estate market?
Well, the first thing that they need to do is price themselves accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
The days of everything going up, I think are coming to an end.
Okay.
And you really, really need to be competitive when you're pricing. To get ahead of the ball is going to cost you time,
mm-hmm.
And cost you more money in the long run. So I would definitely make sure that I have all my information and I am not pricing above market.
Okay.
For a seller, and that should help them.
Okay. Do you see that on the seller's side of things? Do you see that the marketing that the agents have traditionally done over the past couple of years, do you see that that's going to end up changing in order to attract more buyers to that property?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that more detail is going to have to be put online about the property. Everyone is searching online. The days of driving around in your car are pretty much over.
Mm-hmm.
So right. I would make sure that my listing had everything available about the property.
Okay.
To put as much information as possible out there so people can make the right decision and make your property stand out.
There's tons of brokerages out there that all have different marketing strategies and tactics. What's some of the things that Kirk McDonald Realtors uses to sort of either differentiate yourself or increase that presence in the buyer's perspective?
Several things, and we have brought all of our systems in-house. So we have in-house photographers that will handle all of your photography for the property. We do a 3D model
mm-hmm.
of your house. This is all in-house. That we create blueprints, floor plans for your house.
Mm-hmm.
Every possible thing like that, where people can really get a good feel of what the property's like.
Right.
And with the 3D model, it allows our buyers to be able to literally walk through the house before ever seeing it.
Okay, nice. So it probably reduces some of those looky-loo type
right.
buyers.
Get you more to a serious buyer than just a looker.
So you talked about the photos. So I've bought houses in the past, and I've looked at photos online of properties, and really that's sort of the first impression that a buyer would get of a property, sort of making that determination if this is something they want to see in person or not. What I've run across on especially some of the popular real estate searching sites out there is I've run across really good photos. I've run across photos that looked good but made the room appear larger than it actually was. And then I've also run across what I call the iPhone special photos. Tell us about the photos that your in-house photographer takes. Are they, for instance, if I were to look at one of their photos versus an iPhone photo, what differences would I notice?
You would see much more detail in our photos. You know, the an iPhone photo, if you, and lots of agents use them, it's a very narrow view of a room. You know, so if you're gonna, if what you're interested in seeing is the corner of a room, it's a great device for that.
Right.
If you want a true representation of the room, you have to use the right equipment. And our photography does that. And it's also making sure that it's a good representation of the colors in the room.
Right.
You know, and you just can't take it with a single photo. You know, so our photos are layered with different f-stop settings and blended. Okay. So you get a real deep look on a photo with ours than you do with just a standard traditional photography and iPhone.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that most agents who use iPhone photos probably don't want to put the time, effort, or probably cash into.
Yeah, it's expense. There's a lot of expense in doing it right. You know.
Let's talk about for sale by owners. For sale by owners, which are sellers who want to sell the property themselves and not enlist the help of an agent to market the property to other agents or other buyers. So in the past, that's been something that may have been advantageous to a seller. They may have been able to put their property online and get offers within days if it was priced right, good location, good condition. How do you see that changing as the market changes?
I think it's changing now, and you're right. It was very easy for a sale by owner to get it out there. We were in multiple offers on properties across the metroplex. Those days are going to be a little tougher, and there's a lot of downfalls to having a for sale by owner. You know, in addition to just time on the market, what's going to be happening. You know, you've got there's a lot to real estate contracts that you need to understand. Right. You need to know who is coming in your house. There's a lot of risks to a for sale by owner in today's market that's a little different than it was 10 years ago. Right.
We've talked about the seller side. Let's talk about the buyer side. The market that we've seen over the past year or so, probably a couple of years, it's been really tough on buyers. Their buying power has been reduced because the price of the property has increased. How is the market in 2019 going to impact buyers?
I think on the buyer side, it's going to start getting a little better for buyers. The multiple offer deal that we're going through will slow dramatically. Buyers will be back in a position that they'll be in a little bit more control. Okay. You know, they back in the last buyer's market, that was a time that a buyer could get assistance in closing costs. It could get a little bit more control on the price strategies. I see some of that returning.
And let's talk about interest rates. So a lot of buyers don't really realize that the interest rate has a huge impact on their affordability. We've seen interest rates as low as, what were they, 3.5% a year or so ago?
Right.
Whereas now they're 5.5%, and kind of moving within that realm. So from the buyer's perspective, how's that going to affect their buying power?
Well, just in the last interest rate increase that we had, you could have somebody that well qualified for a property in the low threes, that under the same conditions with a higher interest rate are now in the high twos. The higher the rate, the less buying power you have, and that's just the unseen market, where it's going to go. People need to be aware of that.
I wanted to thank you for joining us, taking time out of your busy day. I know as the broker and leader of an office as large as yours, you've got probably tons of tasks that you need to perform on a daily basis. So we appreciate you for taking the time to come out and talk with us. To our listeners, if you have any questions or need help buying or selling, you can visit Kirk at kirkmcdonaldrealtors.com. You can also give Kirk a call at 817-366-9111. And Kirk, what's your email in case some of our listeners want to email you?
My email is Kirk at kirkmcdonaldrealtors.com, and my phone number is 817-366-9111.
Kirk, I want to thank you again for joining us on the podcast. If you have any questions, I encourage you to reach out to Kirk. Thank you and have a great day.